Welcome to Exploring the Paranormal. Hosted by Heather Leigh, PhD, Exploring the Paranormal offers a new, fresh look into paranormal research. Join Heather as she discusses some of the many haunted locations worldwide, discusses why these locations are haunted, hear from paranormal researchers about their personal experiences at these locations. Additionally, Heather takes a journey into the science behind the paranormal, discussing topics such as thermodynamics and the Heisenberg principle and how they both affect paranormal activity. Now, your host of Exploring the Paranormal, Dr. Heather Leigh.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another fabulous Tuesday on Exploring the Paranormal. So many exciting things planned for you today. I can't even express my gratitude for everybody who watches the show and supports the show. Without you guys, I wouldn't still be doing this. Absolutely thrilled to have such a great following, and let's keep moving forward and see what we can do the rest of 2023. And you guys are going to absolutely love what I have in store for 2024. I see Courtney and Lee are already joining us. Morning, guys. Thank you for joining the show. Super happy to have you here as always. And don't forget, if you have any questions along the way, drop them in the comments. Myself, I would be more than happy to answer them. And then also my guest later today will be available to answer questions. She is a sensitive and a medium, and also an author of several books about the paranormal. So I'm super excited to welcome Cyn to the show later on today. That is going to be a fun interview, talking back and forth. So if you have any questions for her, let us know. But before that, as always, you guys know I like to go through certain things, recover everything, go back and cover everything again. And I hope you guys are having a better day than I am. As you can see, my backdrop is kind of a little exposed, having computer issues, camera's not connecting, one thing after another. So you guys actually get to see the full backdrop behind me, including our fabulous white wall. So yeah, it's going to be one of those days, but we'll get through it as always. And so let's dive into what we have planned for today and everything. So as you guys know, actually, if you guys are new to the show, welcome to the show. Super excited to have you here. If you're watching the replay, feel free to watch the whole show and feel free to comment. And if you have questions or comments that you need answered right away, you can reach out to me directly at Heather Leigh, PhD, or at Exploring the Paranormal Show on Facebook. Either one of those will get you to me and I can get your questions answered. But for those of you who are new to the show, I have more than 35 years research in the paranormal field. I'm an author, lecturer, paranormal researcher, motivational speaker, life coach. For those of you who don't know, I have added that life coach to my list of things I do, and an educator. And that's the one thing that I do this show for. I do this to help educate everybody, answer questions. We're never going to advance this field if we don't communicate and try to learn from one another. So that's why I'm here to make sure I share all of those experiences with those. Thanks, Lee. Yeah, just with the white border around the background. Yeah. But also I have a fun announcement. I actually made it on my Facebook page yesterday, but I do have several copies of my books available. Haunted Southern Nevada Ghost Towns, Ghosts and Legends of the Vegas Valley, and Haunted Florida Lighthouses. If you want to order one of the books, it's $25, and that includes my autograph, and I'll ship it to you. So shipping's included. $45 for two, and you can pick which two, or $65 for all three. But I do have a little surprise on that. Haunted Florida Lighthouses. Joe Frankie, he's been on the show several times and also is my co-host on Passport to the Paranormal, will be at Phantasm here in Orlando later this month. If you guys order the book between now and the 13th, I will hold the book and you'll get both our signatures. I'll autograph it, and then Joe will autograph where he wrote the foreword, and then we'll ship it to you on the 18th. So it'll be a little delayed from the date of the release, but if you guys do that, $25, you'll get both our signatures on it, and we will ship it to you. So if you are interested in that, let me know. I will send out invoices and get you on the list, and we will have them all ready to go for you. And then also don't forget, early 2024, Haunted Florida Ghost Towns will be coming out. Spring 2024, you have Haunted Florida Roadside Attractions and Ghosts and Legends of Florida Pirates, and several more books in the plans. And one other book that I wanted to mention, I talked about it a little bit last week, but I've had a lot of people read it and they're absolutely loving it. But for those of you who don't know, I used to be in network marketing. I probably did it as long as I did the paranormal. And oh, hello, Pretty Count. Sorry, I was looking at another line at that. Welcome to the show, and welcome everybody. But I have a new book. It's called 13 Things Ghost Hunting Taught Me About Network Marketing. This is a fun little book. I take all the different experiences that I've learned in ghost hunting, and I've shared it as a way to run your small business. Anybody can use this book. You don't have to be in network marketing. I have people who just want to learn how to get out of their shell, have ordered it and told me that it had great tips in there. So it is available on Amazon on ebook or paperback, and I think it's free if you do the Kindle Unlimited. I'll have to double check that, but I am ordering some copies. So if you want an autographed copy of that one, let me know. And those will be $15 for the autographed copy, or if you order it directly from Amazon, it's $9.99 for the paperback. Okay, I completely forgot to change this, but our next Ghost Education 101, which is the show that I host every other Wednesday, we are going to have the, what is this about? This is a show about the paranormal. We're going to have a guest on in a little bit to discuss a few things and the books that she has written about the paranormal. So if you have any questions about the paranormal, just let me know. We'd be more than happy to answer them for you. And so anyway, Ghost Education 101. That is not this Wednesday, but next Wednesday. We have the host, Nick and Sean from Old World Paranormal Society, and they are going to be just kind of doing a fun little interview and talking about all things paranormal, including starting your own paranormal team and growing up in a haunted house. Because I think it was Nick who had said that he had grown up in a haunted house. So that is going to be an absolutely fun show for that one. As always, you guys know, Real Haunts Ghost Towns and Real Haunts 3 are now available on Prime Video or Tubi. Several other stations, I believe it's on Roku now, and a couple different ones, but it's motion picture video, and they actually have a new show, documentary coming out, Real Haunted Mansion 3 or 2, Real Haunted Mansion 2. So if you check that out, give them support. We absolutely love the producers from motion picture video. They are absolutely amazing. So make sure to check them out and support them. And for those of you who missed Thursday night's show, Passport to the Paranormal is on a 1-month break because we have a lot of things that we need to get taken care of, and a whole bunch of different things that we're doing. So we will see you guys in 1 month for that. And just checking all of my notes here. Don't forget, you can support the show on Patreon. It is Patreon Heather Leigh PhD. And we have several different levels from 5 to 100. And some of the levels include behind the scenes, advance notice of events, gifts for attendees who attend events. We're going to be doing giveaways. The $75 level includes shamanic life coaching, which gives you one-on-one time with me, and so much more. We are doing a giveaway. So if we can get 25 patrons at the $25 level, we are going to be doing a giveaway for a ton of items, including a book of your choice that I've written, a home protection blessing kit. I've also put together some paranormal journals that are available, including a journal, 113 journal prompts for ghost hunters. So that's also on Amazon. And then a spell jar kit for protection. And as I said, you guys can find that information on patreon.com/Heather Leigh PhD. And just a few more things to cover. Good morning, Karen. How are you doing today? Don't forget, I mentioned Phantasm. If you guys are in the Orlando area or can get here, it is going to be an amazing show. It is a horror convention, but they are adding paranormal to it. We were there last year, had a great time. This year, it is September 15th through 17th at the Doubletree at Universal. I will be doing 7 different panel discussions and presentations, including Could Dracula Have Been Real, Herbal Magic and the Paranormal, to Ouija or not to Ouija. We're going to be doing a Ouija board presentation. just a whole bunch of things. And then I will also be participating in 2 different panels, and there's going to be about like 10 plus people up there, all paranormal investigators talking. And one thing I wanted to mention is I will be on Lee's show on September 18th at 7 p.m. and Eastern. And we will be going over the movie Abraham Lincoln Vampire Killer by Seth Grahame-Smith. So that is my book recommendation for the day. If you haven't read the book or watched the movie, I highly recommend you go check that out, especially before we have that show. So hope you guys are all doing great. I know I rushed through all that. As you know, I talk fast, but I want to make sure I leave room for you guys to answer questions or ask questions and get them answered. And I did get something that I wanted to talk about. And I've been wanting to talk about this for a while. Someone has sent me an email, and it's not the first time I received the email, but it basically said, you know, hey, Heather, I've heard rumors that you've left the Warren Legacy Foundation. For those of you who don't know, I was a part of the Warren Legacy Foundation for Paranormal Research, but I did leave last October. Several rumors are going around. I'm not part of it anymore. And also, I was not fired from it either, because that's another rumor that has been going around. I left on my own, and I'm just going to kind of leave it at that. Don't really want to get too much into it. People, you know, we all come and go. We have differences, and just it wasn't the right fit for me anymore, because I know that's the biggest question as to why I left. And I just wanted to move on. But I wish everyone well that is in the foundation still, and just kind of clearing that up that I left last October. Okay, so anyway, moving on. There's a book ordering now. Yes, Seth Grahame-Smith has some great books. He has he's the one who wrote Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, which was also a movie. And then he's written Three Kings. And I'm trying to think, he wrote another book. I can't remember the other book that he's written, but he is really good. I love the book actually, and they did a lot of fun with, I should have brought the book over here, but I didn't. In the book, they have a section with photos, and they've taken actual photos of Lincoln and the Civil War, and they've had him like with the axe that he uses to kill the vampires. They have some vampires that they've superimposed images on, and a whole bunch of other stuff. And so the book actually, the movie is amazing, but the book is so much better. So yeah, definitely read the book. So anyway, moving on. Hope you guys are having a great day. Our guest, like I had said, is super exciting to have her join us. I'm looking forward to that. Let me actually pull up her bio, and I can go over that a little bit so you guys can get your questions ready for her. She is the founder of Elk Valley Paranormal. She's self-published author of Whispers in the Dark, True Ghost Stories, and Eerie Tales. Web of Terror, a short story collection. They're Speaking, Are You Listening? My Most Compelling EVPs. That one actually I want to know more about. It's Not Goodbye, Signs from Beyond. She is native to Fayetteville, Tennessee, and it's home of the old Fayetteville Lincoln County Hospital. She's a sensitive and empathic, and she is known. Others have been around her since she was a young girl. So she's done a lot of work with different paranormal teams in the U.S. and abroad. Absolutely amazing. Her books look great. I know some of them are just collections of different stories, but perfect for people who are interested in the paranormal, wanting to learn more about it. And she has several other books in the works that we will definitely be talking about, and we will be doing that. Fayetteville, yeah, I always mess it up. Sense there's a book and Sense and Sensibility and Sea Monsters. Okay, yep. And it's kind of like the Nevada and the Nevada type of going on. I think it all depends on where you go and everything. But yeah, so that is going to be super exciting to have her on here. And I'm just looking through her thing to see if there's anything. We definitely want to be able to talk to her about. Was that one of the books? It's Not Goodbye, Signs from Beyond is one. That's one filled with stories, visits, dreams, and messages from loved ones, including pets who have passed. So that's kind of an interesting one. And she says that she focuses on paying attention to death is not goodbye. So that's kind of really interesting. She is currently working on other books. and you want to check her out. And I will put this all on my Facebook page as well. But she has her email, which we'll put up, but you can find her at Cyn Shrader Hill Author on Facebook. And then you could also search her on Amazon as well to get all of her books. She says her books are available on Amazon in paperback and Kindle, and they are free on the Kindle unlimited plan. Hey, Greg, how's it going? I hope all is well. And then one big announcement I have, since I need to talk slower because this would like last the whole show if I talk slower. Next week, amazing guest coming on. I have Jeff Mudgett. He is the great-great-grandson of serial killer H.H. Holmes, a.k.a. the Devil in the White City. He's authored many books, and he has been doing, sorry, I thought I had my phone on silent. He has been doing a lot of research recently, and last I talked to him, he has some new compelling evidence that he is just released, I think, or he's releasing the day before the show. I think he said the 11th. And then on the 12th, he'll review the information that he's released with the audience. So amazing guy. Looking forward to talking to him. And then he's also found links that connect H.H. Holmes to Jack the Ripper. So that is going to be a fun show. So make sure you guys have all of your information. If you want to know more about him or more about his investigations, I think it's on History Channel, but American Ripper. Where he goes into and he does the different things. And I know he's had paranormal experiences associated with this, with the case. And I think he was on Ghost Adventures when they did the serial killer series a couple years ago. He was on there when they were going over the H.H. Holmes case. So that was a lot of it. So we'll be talking about that, his experiences, what he's doing now. And that's going to be an absolutely fun show. So make sure you guys mark your calendars and tune in for that, or at least go to our YouTube pages and mark it so you can watch the recordings. Okay. I'm just checking the comments again real quick. So, yep. So anybody in the South Carolina area, North Carolina, and Georgia, I hope you guys survived the storm that we sent your way. We kind of didn't want to keep it here in Florida, so we sent it up there. And Florida, from what I've seen, even though some parts of the state have had damage, they're recovering as always. It's just part of living in the Sunshine State. We do have some more storms headed our way, so keep your fingers crossed that they don't come directly here and affect the show. Because you guys, I love being here and I love seeing you guys every morning. So I want to make sure that does not come through. And everything. So yeah, just trying to think of a few other things. Like I said, I either need to plan a little bit more to talk about, or I need to talk slower. So actually, I'm going to pull up some presentations that I'm working on, and I'm not going to show you guys because I still need to add all the graphics and stuff, but just kind of go through and see what I can talk about for the next 10 minutes or so, to get you guys the information you need. But presentations, I have a whole bunch of presentations that I'm working on. So if there's any that you guys want to see, let me know. Some of these presentations we'll be doing on Ghost Ed, but I could always do them quickly here in the morning and get them through before my guests come on at 10:30. But I have everything from, Paranormal 101, teaching classes at TMCC, Ghost Hunting 101, and the ABCs of the Paranormal. So I have that information on my Facebook page as well. Those are going to be fun classes. And I taught there last year, taught a class on ghosts of Southern Nevada ghost towns. Absolutely had a blast, and looking forward to teaching again this year. And hopefully it's going to be a regular thing and you guys see me there more often, but they are online classes. Oh, now I'm getting the hiccups. They are online classes, so anybody can access them. So yeah, definitely a lot of fun on those. But other presentations I'm working on include analyzing EVPs, photo analysis, a whole bunch of, actually I can go through my list. So if there's anything you guys want to see off of this list, just let me know. But we have History of Witches, Herbal Magic and the Paranormal, Could Dracula Have Existed? And this one talks about why people thought Dracula was real, or why people thought vampires were real. And it also talks about vampires today. Haunted Florida lighthouses, of course, horror story origins, Behind the Shadows, which talks about the Hat Man, Shadow People, and Men in Black. Ouija or Not Ouija, and that one is a presentation with Joe Frankie. ABC's of Paranormal, Ghost Hunting 101, Documenting the Paranormal. I have a whole bunch of haunted ghost towns, Haunted History Gettysburg, When Ghosts Attack, Paranormal Tourism. I'm doing a Supernatural Shielding one, which talks about protecting yourself as a paranormal investigator, hosting paranormal events, being an ethical investigator, and non-tech tools. But that doesn't even begin to scratch the surface of all the different presentations that I'm working on to do throughout the year. So I'll be sharing them here, as well as I have several library presentations that I'm working on. Exactly, Christopher. Yeah, Christopher says it's not that you talk too fast, you just think fast, and others ought to think faster. It's just my mind goes 101 miles a minute. I don't even know how to describe it. Yeah, pretty count. We are streaming if you go to Facebook, WLTKDB Talk Radio LLC, and we're streaming there as well. Or you can go to Facebook at Exploring the Paranormal. It's just not on YouTube. So you can check that out. And, but yeah, so, so what you're saying is I need to teach, maybe I'll do that, teach a class to get the listeners to think faster and listen faster. So I always joke that, you guys could replay the show in slow motion and still get rid of the, or not get rid of, but play it in slow motion and hear it in normal speed. But yeah, so it's a lot of fun. Catching up on that. But I'm going to, actually, this is one I'm going to just talk about real quick while we wait for a few minutes for the guest. One thing I'm going to start next year, like you said, I'm going to work a little bit more on, have some amazing things planned for the shows. But one thing I'm going to do is a herb of the day. And what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to talk about the herb, its properties, how to use it, and then do either show you guys, a recipe for it, whether it's an herbal bath bag, a spell jar, a fairy jar, which I've made, a whole bunch of different things that you can use it and how to use it. So for example, let me just go to the presentation real quick. It's slow coming up. Let's just say the herb for the day. I'm scrolling down. Give me a minute. Computers. Okay, so let's just say the herb of the day is rosemary. And one thing that I would show you guys how to do is to do either the protection jars that I make, which includes rosemary, thyme, and marjoram and sea salt, or a protection herbal bath. This is, I would go through it. You guys are going to get this every day, and it's going to be the bath mixture helps strengthen your psychic armor. If you use it daily until you feel strong, a lot of people use this before going into a paranormal investigation to help them strengthen their psychic armor and get them prepared. It also helps protect you throughout the day. So if you use this, it helps protect you throughout the day. And you don't even have to just use it for baths. You can use them in the shower too. Hang it over the shower spout and just let the water run through the bag. But it, and then I would show you guys how to use it or how to make it. So you would have 4 tablespoons rosemary, 3 bay leaves, 2 tablespoons basil, 2 tablespoons fennel seed, 1 tablespoon dill, and 1 cup of Epsom salt. And then you mix it all together. And I use just organza bags because it lets the water flow through it. But some people have reusable tea bags that they put these in. You can use cheesecloth, and other people I've seen just dump everything in the tub. I don't like that because then you get the little herbs all over your body when you get out of the tub. But I do, it's amazing. And this one is one of my favorite ones. So like if I was talking about rosemary, this would be something that I would talk about that day and show you guys how to make it. But there are a ton, as you guys know, tons of other herbs that you can use. Some of the most popular would be aloe vera, cayenne pepper, lavender, sage, St. John's wort, thyme, and marjoram. And then, of course, you have rosemary that I just talked about. So that's all the different things, and I'm looking forward to adding that into the show. And then also in each show, I'm going to talk about a whole bunch of different things as far as being able to, I know I do a lot with the herbal magic and all of that stuff, but I want to do a little bit more with kind of going back to scientific research. One thing I've noticed that I've swayed away from is the actual scientific research. So in addition to that, I'm going to come up with, and I'm trying to work on the guests, viewing the guests and see what they specialize in, and be a little bit more concise with the topics in the morning, and have a lot more information for you guys. I know I throw a lot at you every morning or every Tuesday morning with what's happening with me, but I want to start focusing on actually going back to educating. We're doing the same thing with Ghost Education 101. We kind of strayed away and had a whole bunch of guests. And now on that show, we are rotating between doing a presentation, having a guest, and doing a panel discussion. So we're going to be rotating from that. And the presentations are some of the ones I've made. My co-host Philip, he's made several. And then we also have guests such as the Haunted Librarian, who will be doing presentations. Karen Dahlman will be back next year. She did a panel discussion on Ouija boards with the the Talking Board Historical Society. So she will be back to do a presentation on Ouija boards next year. So we have a lot of, not just us, so you don't have to constantly listen to us, a lot of great things happening with that aspect as well. So guys, if you want to learn about anything, let me know. Ask in the comments if there's a specific topic. I always have a notepad handy, and I'm always jotting stuff down throughout the shows on what things people want to see, people want to hear. So just let me know. Like I said, you can comment in the comments what you want to learn. And it could be anything paranormal or even magic based. And you guys know, if I don't know, I have a great resource of people that I can ask when it comes to magic. I definitely would get you guys in contact with the Sin City Witch. She's amazing. She is my partner in crime when it comes to the Witches Paranormal Society, which, stay tuned, 2024 is going to be absolutely amazing for that. So we're looking forward to that as well. But like I shared with you guys, I have a lot of presentations, a lot of things we can talk about. I am going to have a show in 2024 discussing the Heisenberg principle in more detail, as well as how thermodynamics affects the paranormal. So we will be diving into that and going back to the original reason why I created this show. So lots of amazing things planned and happening for 2024. Okay. Yeah, lots of amazing things happening for 2024. So make sure you guys reach out to me. I wouldn't be doing the show if it wasn't for you guys. So I want to make sure that I'm giving you guys the information you want to see and hear, and not just be up here babbling all day long. So definitely reach out and let me know. And with that being said, we are going to take a quick commercial break. And then when we come back, we will have our guest. So I will see you guys in just a few moments.
If you're a fan of the paranormal world, then you'll love WLTK DB Talk Radio. Talk shows bringing you the latest on everything paranormal, cryptozoological, metaphysical, true crime, psychic readings, and more. The truth is here and now on WLTK DB Talk Radio at WLTKDB.com.
Hey everyone, we are back. Super excited for today's guest. Looking forward to having her on. I talked about her bio a little bit in the first part of the show, so hopefully you guys have thought about your questions and are ready to welcome our guest to the show. So let's welcome Cyn to the show.
Hello. Thank
Hello.
you.
Am I pronouncing that correct?
Cyn, yes.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, it's short for Cynthia.
I figured that, but I just wanted to make sure it wasn't some strange pronunciation or something and I was butchering it.
No. You're good.
Okay.
Everything's
Perfect.
good. Thank you for
Perfect.
having
Well,
me.
oh yeah, thank you for coming to the show. Super excited to have you here, and it's great to meet you face to face.
Finally.
I talk to so many people, and you just never see their face outside of their profile picture.
I know it. So thank you so much for having me on here. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, no problem. And I did talk about your bio a little bit before we got started, but I want the viewers to hear it from you. How did you get started in the paranormal, and what exactly do you do?
That's a loaded question. Let's see. I got started not very long ago. 2013 is when I actually got started in the paranormal. I've been interested in it all my life. But my cousin had her business investigated by a group, and I found out after the fact, and I was like, oh, you didn't invite me. Why? You know I love this stuff. And I had been I wanted my own group to I didn't know how to go about it, had no idea whatsoever. All I knew was what I saw on television. And, that's not what happens.
Exactly.
Anyway, I got the same group to come down and investigate my mom and dad's old store that had been closed several years. We lost Dad in 2001, about 2 weeks after 9/11. Nothing to do with 9/11. It was just something suddenly. Nobody was expecting it, and it was devastating. So I, being a dad's girl, I wanted to see if he was still at the store. And they came down. We had had the utilities cut off at least 2 years prior, and I think it was more like 3. My mother and my sister had actually run the store after Dad died. And Mom had worked with him the entire time down there. So going on 40 years, something like that. And in a small town, 2 women running an auto parts store is just not going to make it with Walmart, O'Reilly's, Advanced, and AutoZone within the city limits. So they gave it up, and that was heartbreaking for them and all of us. And it just had to close. The building itself was from the late 1800s. So it had been a turkey slaughterhouse. The basement part had been a turkey slaughterhouse. And there were 2 old vats still down there where they had boiled the turkeys. Hooks still hung down there, all of that. But the road had built up so much that the basement, that had actually been the first floor. So the road had built up so much, it was now the basement. It was always creepy down there, as basements usually are. But the building had been a Red Cross building. It had been an ice cream plant. It had been a furniture store. It had been a little bit of everything. And then the auto parts store for the longest. So anyway, they come. I'm the trigger object because I'm Daddy's girl. And I'm just standing in the dark asking questions, hope to get some kind of response. They got 2 EVPs that night, just 2. The only place their instruments lit up at all was exactly where my dad's chair sat in his office. So that was interesting to me. That energy was still there when there were no utilities on. But the 2 EVPs, one was this strange holy mackerel that nobody in my family ever used. And I wondered if it was either from the Red Cross when it was there or the ice cream plant. We weren't sure. The other one was gobbling from the basement. We had turkey ghost.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah. So that was the wildest thing. And I got caught. Had me then. So the group actually asked me to join them that night. And I worked into case manager and found places to investigate. So after that, they trained me. This was Ghost Hunters of Southern Tennessee, James Jones and Wayne Baker. And we just Wayne recently. So prayers going out to his family and friends. But good guys. They trained me. They gave me all the basic knowledge that I needed. And I formed my own team. And because I was so interested in audio, EVPs, and everything down here is Elk Valley Paranormal, Elk Valley this, Elk Valley that. So Elk Valley Paranormal just kind of came along perfectly. So that's how EVP formed. That's how I started. And I brought over one of the guys that I had just trained in that first group, and he's my co-founder, so Cyn Shrader. And we just started investigating from there.
And I see that you've written a lot of books about the paranormal. And what inspires you?
The investigations,
The
definitely.
investigations?
Yes. The first book is 23 short stories. There's only one that's fiction, and that was the second one. And my friend that does the cover art and the illustrations, we wanted just to see if we could write some fiction. So that was done. We've done it now. And all the other books are true. Everything is true. First and third are ghost stories. And the third one was supposed to be my first one. I just couldn't figure out how to do it. I wanted people to be able to actually experience the voices. So when I wrote it, I put all of the EVPs on elkvalleyparanormal.com. So as you're reading that third book, each chapter is broken down on the evidence page there's a menu drop down. And you can either see old hospital information or their speaking information. If you pick their speaking, you can go through the book as you read it and hear all of the EVPs that I'm talking about in each chapter. So that came out finally. The first book is 23 short stories. It was 18 of them all in this county. And their majority are me, things that have happened on our investigations or to me. And the others are friends from the group or friends close by that just have had some really weird experiences. So I wrote about those.
Interesting. And for the EVPs, I always like to ask this question, which is the most interesting EVP that you've captured?
There are two. One was at an old cemetery here in town, and we were running a spirit box. It was an old cemetery. There were gray slave tombstones back in the back. It just had been there for a while. Beautiful cemetery. And the EVP I got was a woman, and to me she sounded like this 50s pinup wannabe. She couldn't be a pinup, but she wanted to be a pinup. But she said, "I'm just so tired of this ditch." I love that. The other favorite one was at a residential investigation, and I knew something was around me. I couldn't see him, but I was taking pictures, and I said, "Follow me. Go into the next room, take pictures. Come on with me." And about the third time I said that, the EVP I got later upon review was, "I've got better things to do than to follow you around all night."
So the ghost had an attitude.
Oh, he was a little curmudgeon. But he followed me. He did follow me.
Lee wants to know, what do you use for your EVPs?
Digital recorder. I carry that with me everywhere. And when I first started, I recorded everything from start to finish. And, after an investigation, you're exhausted, but then you still got to go back through those hours that you recorded. So after a while, I got a second recorder, and one that I wanted to leave running in the room where we were, wherever we were, I'd move it. And the other one I used for burst sessions, strictly for questioning. So that has helped out, but I only use digital. I'm just comfortable with that. And now I actually have 3. So I keep one in the truck with me just in case I run up on somebody that needs some help and I can run in real quick. Also keep Sage in my truck just in case, because I had a little scare on a trip once, so I don't go anywhere without Sage anymore.
Yep. Yeah, I actually have a Sage roll-on that I made that I can tuck away in my purse.
Nice.
It works great.
And it's just a good idea to have something like that with you.
Yep, exactly. And one thing I noticed in your bio, it says that you work with other teams as well as in the US and overseas. And I find that absolutely amazing, because there are so many teams today that just refuse to work with others. It's, this is my evidence, this is my location, almost like a cat clawing at him, hissing, get away type of thing. So I find it absolutely amazing that you do. What has been your experience working with other teams?
I love working with other teams. You learn different techniques, or you learn something that you've been doing, but a different way to approach it. So, I mean, we can all help each other out if we're just friends. Reach out and talk with somebody. Go on a joint investigation. If you're afraid to actually work with a team on an investigation, go to a public hunt. See how they work. See if your personalities coincide. There's just been a couple of people, personality wise, that we just clashed, and it just wasn't a good fit. But that's okay too, because you find other people that you can work with and talk with and bounce ideas off. But I just recently, in February, I went up to Thomas House, was invited by the Unseen Paranormal host, Eric Freeman Sims, and Medics for Life, Lee Pig, and then Regina Weaver from RPG Investigations. So the 3 of them put on I started to say festival. It's not a festival. It was Paracon. And it was Phantom Pause for Historic Cause was the first year we had it. And that was in Lebanon. And then so I became friends with them and got to go to Thomas House to investigate with them. It was great. Their next Paracon is coming up October 21st in Nashville at the fairgrounds, and it's bigger than last year. And what they did, Phantom Pause for Historic Cause, they would split their proceeds and give half to an animal society, whatever, something. I can't remember exactly what that one was. And then an historic cause, they chose a Memphis cemetery that needed some help. So that's where that money went. This time it is, they're going to, Trousdale House, I know, out of Gallatin, is the historic place. And the animal was animal something core. And Eric's going to just slap me because I couldn't remember the second name. But
you'll remember when you log off the show.
I'm going to. But they changed the name also. So this year, the Paracon is called Tennessee Haunts and Legends Expo. And it's only $10 to get in. You can get your $10 ticket beforehand online, or you can get it at the door. 75 vendors and speakers all day, and you can come and just enjoy the day. There's going to be food there. So, I mean, what could go wrong, right? You got food, you got talking paranormal, you got booths that you can walk around. It's just going to be a really nice time.
Yep. One of those things I wish I could do in person, but it's too far away to get there right now. One of these days. Lee asked a quick question. She says, have you ever heard of someone getting an EVP on an airplane while it's flying?
I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it at
Mhm.
all. I've gotten some recordings in strange places. I've had people send me recordings from strange places. So, uh, it's that spirit could have been attached to someone on the plane. It could have been
Mhm.
attached to the plane. Maybe it was one of the pilot's family members that traveled with him. You just
Mhm.
never know who that
Yeah.
or what that was. Or it could have been something a little bit higher vibrational. Maybe they had somebody looking out for them on board.
Mhm.
You just never know.
Yep. It's when we went on our cruise, I wish I had brought a recorder with, because it's like sometimes I felt like something was in our room, but I wasn't sure. And it's like
You
I
get
would have
that
loved to have
feeling.
just let it run.
Yeah. Yeah. And I bet you would have heard some things.
Yep. Yep. Oh, always they're wherever, and that's why I have a even though it can have interference from it, but I have a keychain that's a
Yeah.
voice recorder that
Nice.
is on whenever we're doing an investigation the whole time. Just, because it's always on me, and you just got to know. And I've learned what the sounds of it rubbing on my shirt and pants sound like. But there's things I've picked up on that none of the other recorders have picked up on. So it's very interesting.
And
And
interestingly enough, they can use sounds like the jingles
mhm.
or footsteps, or I've got a tail in my face right now. This is creepy. So Bella has come in to join the interview. Then you'll see her tail off and on because she's coming
That's
back.
fine.
But they can use footsteps. They can use when you rip off a piece of paper from the notebook you've just been writing and crumble it up. They can use that
Yep.
to speak through. So it's any kind of frequency noise that they can manipulate into words. So it's
Yep.
crazy.
It's very interesting. And Lee, and this is actually interesting, I'll have to send you a copy of the one I have, but Lee asked EVP of dinosaurs.
What? They've got one?
We think we might have one.
What?
We were investigating a museum, but I don't share it often because we didn't have any video to back it up, because the museum wouldn't let us use video. But I know the digital voice recorder was on a display case, and the nearest person was at least 6 feet away, and it sounds like a growl squawk. And we were actually in the dinosaur room of this museum. And people are like, "Oh, that's your stomach growling." And it's like, if it was a stomach growling, it was 6 feet away. That had to have been, and I would have heard it.
Right. And you would have probably said, that was my stomach.
Right. Exactly. And but I don't share it often just because I don't have the video proof to prove that we were 6 feet away. So but I'll find it and I'll send it to you.
Yeah, I'd love to hear that.
I mean, the museum, I know, this museum had actual dinosaur bones, where some museums just have displays and fake ones, but this one had actual bones. So it was like anything's possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, when we were listening to it, we're like, what was that?
Oh, I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah, my son was there. He was like so excited. He's like, oh my God, it's a dinosaur.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm just looking real quick at the comments. Courtney says, my grandma and grandpa went on my recent trip to Florida, and Ane, I always pronounce her name wrong, so I'm sorry if I'm butchering it, confirmed it, but she knew it. She asked them for safety through the hurricane. Her grandma was part of Florida native and moved to Wisconsin and found her grandpa. Okay. So yeah. And then they were probably scared to see what's in the museum was probably the comment about the dinosaur thing. But yeah, I'll make a note to find that and send it to you. Because if not, I'll forget.
Yeah, if I don't write it down.
I know I have like notebooks stacked everywhere, and then once a week I go through them all because sometimes I don't cover everything. And with your EVPs that you collect, and you do other ITC work, or is it just the digital voice recorder?
That's what I mostly do, but it's because that's what I'm most familiar with and comfortable with. So yeah, I don't. I mean, I will experiment as long as somebody else has something they can walk me through and tell me what they're doing and that kind of thing.
Okay. And Spirit Box, have you used that?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And that's where a lot of my EVPs have come through that I've recorded.
Okay, because I know a lot of people poo-poo on the Spirit Box.
Sean hates it. Whenever I say I'm bringing it out, he goes, "Oh, it's just because of the noise that they just really don't like." And some spirits don't like it either. And I've had Mark, the medium that does the drawings and the cover. He'll say, if we're at a certain location, he'll say, "They just said do not use that spirit box." Okay, we won't do it.
Because we have one, and I won't use it if we do a residential. But we have used it on public investigations, mostly because when we do public investigations, we open it up to the public, and they want instant satisfaction. They don't understand that you record it on a digital recorder and you go home and listen to it. They're like, "What?"
Yeah.
So, of course, we use it for those type of things.
And if you can get EVPs real time, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's what we're all looking for. We want some class A's that come through and they're unmistakable.
Right.
But most of what we get, you kind of have to dig a little bit.
Yeah. And the other times that we've used the spirit boxes is we were inside a mine investigating. So of course you had no radio frequencies interfering. And then we were in Gold Point, Nevada. There was no, radio frequencies for miles. So we knew what we were getting on. There wasn't, pareidolia or any interference. So those were the best places that we've found.
Yeah. I would like to go around here to the Bell Witch Cave. So that would be interesting to me.
Yeah, that would be really interesting. That has a very interesting history on it.
Yeah,
and,
scary.
And Lee, I will make sure I share it on the show for you so that way you can hear it. And Lee wants to know if you've ever met Todd Bates, who's our producer. She says you guys sound like two peas in a pod.
Really? I would love to meet him.
Yep, I'll let him know. He does also host a show on the radio station, and he's written a book, Haunted Voices.
Nice.
So he's a great guy. It's always fun having him on the show. So make sure I'll connect you with him. And then laughing with the turn off the spirit box. Courtney says, "Haha, talking to humans and the noise, very frustrating." It is. Yeah. And then Karen says spirit boxes tend to pick up non-ghostly entities such as malevolent entities. So
they can, yeah. But I mean, those things can be anywhere. Spirits can be anywhere, and it doesn't matter what time of day. They don't care if it's dark.
I know. It's like the spirit during the day. Nope, can't talk to you. It's not dark out.
Right? No.
Or you have to, turn off the bedroom light so I can talk to you.
Yeah. No.
Oh, I know.
Actually,
we've turned off the lights in the beginning, but it's like really.
Yeah. I found that people are used to investigating at night. And one question that is asked of me all the time, why? Why do you investigate at night so much? And to me, it's because your senses, when you go into a darkened room, your senses are heightened. You have to listen. I mean, well, you can hear better, honestly. When you think about, have you ever been driving and you're trying to find a road and you turn the radio down? You don't really have to turn that radio down to think, but we just kind of automatically do. And to me, that's why we can do so much better in the dark, because our eyes are trying to find, what's different against the dark. Our ears seem to pick up better, and because we don't have all the outside stimulus coming in at us.
Yep. And that's what I usually do is I'll find a quiet corner in an investigation and I'll just sit there and close my eyes.
Yeah.
And just sit and listen, to what's going on. And, I do that too when I review my audio. I'll listen to it once with my eyes open, and then I'll listen to it a second time with my eyes closed. Just to kind of see what I pick up.
I've spent a lot of time going over EVPs with my eyes closed, going, okay, I know that's what I'm hearing. I know that's what I'm hearing. And you guys got to listen to this. Tell me what you hear.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. And that actually brings up the question, when you actually hear something and you share it with others, how do you go? What's your process for that? Because my favorite is here, you got to listen to this EVP. It says, help me.
Yeah. Well, some of them you don't have to tell.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just obvious. They'll come across, like on a spirit box, you can hear help me.
Mm-hmm.
Or, you know, I had one from the old hospital. This was interesting. We had asked a lot of questions, and this same voice had answered different things, and it was short, yes, no. I believe he told us his name. Can't remember right off what it was, but I told him, I said, thank you. We're going to close the session now. And he said, thank you for letting us speak.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, what a gentleman. We've got gentlemen, actually. And then you have curmudgeons, and then you have, you know, some that would rather curse. And we get a lot of those too.
That's always going to be my next question, because we had an investigation, and the lead investigator, the spirit wouldn't talk to him. It was F you, F off. and then when he walked out of the room, we started getting, you know, he was polite to us.
See, now I've run into where they don't want to talk to me, but they'll talk to Sean. So no, we're not talking to you. And we went on, I had this other guy in the group for a while, Chip, and Chip could get answers from the spirits. And he went out to smoke. And the spirits were just kind of talking amongst themselves, and his wife and I were trying to ask them questions. And I said, why aren't you talking now? Mm-hmm. And they said, waiting for Chip. Waiting for Chip. Didn't want to talk to the girls. Fine.
That's fine. Be that way.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And have you ever had an experience where something physical happened at the same time that was backed up by an EVP?
As far as I heard my name called in a basement, heard it in my right ear, and it was loud to me. It was still a whisper, but it was I knew they didn't want me down there. It was one of those kind of, you know, almost ominous. Right. And I said, did you all hear my name? And they didn't. They were up ahead of me. And I heard it again. And then later on, the EVP was, Cindy, right here. You can take our place. Oh, no. I don't want to. That was in a basement. So basement entities tend to be a little creepier, for whatever reason.
There's a reason they lurk in the shadows of the basement.
I think so too.
Yep.
I think so too.
Yep. But yeah, no, one example we had is we were investigating a location that was known as the former Copa Club in Vegas.
Yeah.
And throughout the whole thing, we're working with the employees that worked at the location to make them not so scared of the spirits that were there. And the one girl was carrying the spirit box with her everywhere we went. And the spirit was referring to her as his girlfriend. Throughout the whole night, you know, she was his girlfriend and he loved her and all this other stuff. But then later on in the night, just before we were getting ready to wrap up, I literally felt something grab my butt. And it was forceful enough to where it pushed me forward just a little bit, like when someone smacks you on the butt. And I yelled out, who hit me on the butt? Because there was nobody around me. And all of a sudden we have an EVP that was he, me. And it was the same voice of this guy who was calling her his girlfriend.
Flirt. Just a flirt.
And it's like, well, it's the Copa Club. That's how they treated women back then.
Yeah. Yeah. And you hear, yeah. And I don't think I want to be smacked in the butt like that either.
No, it was weird because I was like, I thought it was one of the other investigators. I was ready to turn around and punch him. So it was a good thing nobody was standing behind me or they would have been punched.
Right. And you couldn't see him. So he just kind of slinked away a little bit.
It's just so interesting.
There's some really funny ones, and then there's some
And
really not
trying
so
to think
fun
of some
ones.
other quick questions, but when it comes, Mhm. Yep. Are you there, or did you lose me?
Me?
I think, yeah. Am I here? Because I lose audio quite often, so I just want to make sure I have
Oh,
audio.
yeah, no. You're good. You're good.
Okay, perfect. It was like my screen froze, and then last time it froze, I
Oh,
lost
no.
audio, and I was like, no.
Oh, no. No.
Um,
You're fine.
okay, perfect. But have you ever used the Ovilus?
I have, only because someone else in the group had one. I really would love to have one, but they're few and far between. You've got to scour to find one, and they're
Yep.
still very expensive.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I know Ghost Stop had them. They're like in stock, and then not that I was ready to order it, but I went to go look, and they were gone already.
yeah. And I probably looked the same day you did, and I was like, okay, let's see what the price is now. Probably can't
Right.
afford it this time, but
Mm-hmm.
one of these days I'll have one.
Yeah. And what was your experience using it when you used it?
I thought they were real. Some of the responses that came across were so dead on. It's hard to say, oh, that's just a bank of words that they throw in, because they were so dead on with specifics. Like if it was I don't know, and I can't remember exactly where we had it, but let's just say we were in a cave. Limestone would come up. Limestone is not a normal word you would actually use in a sentence, or most of us every day, but and then other things like that, or they would come up with something that was part of a story, that we had heard about the place, and it was just kind of odd, but kind of cool at the same time.
Right. Yeah.
And especially if you've got EVPs that go along with it, or copper rod sessions, pendulum sessions, anything like that. But if you got a spirit box, an Ovilus, and a recorder, and you're getting answers that correlate,
Yep.
that's what I like.
Yeah. I'm still torn on it. I've used it once, and we were investigating a location, and I hadn't realized that the group behind me had stopped to conduct an EVP session. And I'm so focused on the Ovilus, just walking around, and I get around a corner where I'm no longer visible to the other group. And it had been quiet up until then, and all of a sudden it sped out death, devil, demon, sacrifice, alone.
Oh.
And I'm like, so then I asked, well, who are you going to sacrifice? And it said, you.
Oh.
And I felt something run its finger down my back at the exact same time. I turned around, and I'm like, realized I'm all alone. I'm like, oh crap.
Wow.
And then I ran back, got the group. The group came, nothing. Whatever was there wanted me alone.
Yeah, and you went.
Right. Yeah. So I'm like, I want to try it again, but I don't, I'm still torn on, that made me a believer, but
that's creepy.
Who knows what's inside of it? Because I've always been curious with, like you said, limestone. Is there GPS inside of them that we don't know about? That's, you don't, unless you make it yourself, you don't know what's inside of it.
Right.
So yeah, it's interesting.
I think so too. And some things can get embedded from years and years. Well, like, was that dinosaur, was that an attachment to those bones? Was it embedded? What?
Right.
There's
was
so
it, self-manifested?
Yeah. So many questions.
So many different things. And that made me think of something. One theory that on the previous team that I was a part of before I created my own team, we were always talking about how our mind does powerful things. Have you ever thought that some of the answers that you're getting in EVP sessions are from someone's mind in the group imprinting on the audio?
That can very well be. It can very well happen. Especially, I have learned from Mark. I mean, he's my go-to guy, Mark Elliott Foltz. We write books together. He writes his own books. I write mine. We work together. He has gone on investigations with us. We have done investigations with him. And it's, I don't really know how to go. I don't know where to go with that now. Come, ask me the question a different way.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to think of another way to word it. It's could the EVPs that we capture be self-manifested from our own minds, answering the questions ourselves?
Okay. So let me tell you a little bit a story. I put this in the first book. This story weirded me out more than just about anything that had happened to me and has happened since. I got some EVPs from a girl out of state. She was having problems. She thought she was being stalked and harassed. So she sent me a couple of recordings, and I sent back what I found. And she immediately, I mean, she was right on it, waiting for those answers. And she sent me back a video, and I said, "There's no sound to it. I can't tell anything about it. There's nothing paranormal in the video, but there's no sound, so I can't tell you anything about that." So she goes back. She sends me 5 audio clips. One from her car, closed. She was not in it. One from her kitchen, one from her living room, one from her bedroom, one from the bathroom. And, I was like, oh, girl, honey. So let me take a little break. Well, that evening, my husband and I didn't listen to those that she had sent. My husband and I had a disagreement that night. We worked it out. It was not a big deal. But the next night, I go back in to work on these EVPs, open them up. And the first one was to her that we are going to torment you, basically, is what they were saying. The second one was to me. And talking about the fight that my husband and I had the night before, and that I should come down and visit them. They would help me out with the problem. Don't worry about him. I closed it up and pushed the computer away. I didn't know what had just happened. I sent her what I had and said, "I'm sorry, I can't help you with anything else. This is the last one I can do for you." And of course, I didn't send her the one that was to me, because that was to me.
Right.
The next night, I'm still weirded out. I had told my husband about it, and he goes, "How? I don't know. How did they know? I don't know. It came through an email the day before, and they knew the next night about, it was too weird. It was way too weird for me. And so I contacted Mark and I said, "Mark, I have got a question and it's bothering the heck out of me." And after I told him, he said, "Calm down. It's just a trick that they can play. They can read your aura for up to 48 hours. So whatever has happened, if you have not smudged yourself, if you have not meditated to white light yourself or said a prayer or anything like that before you do EVP work, any kind of investigation, whatever, they can read what is on your aura and mess with you, basically. It's not that they read your mind, but they can read your aura and any kind of issue that you've been through."
Yeah.
So I make sure I'm extra protected whenever I do EVP work, any
Mhm.
kind of questioning, anything.
Right.
Anything.
Yep. Yeah. And because we actually had a case, I got to find that and send it to you too. But we actually have video proof that what it was is the client was claiming that she was having, I guess, sexual attacks, and the spirits were always bothering her. And she described it, the way she described it looked like Mike Wazowski from Monsters, Inc.
Yeah.
Just this little, and she said there were two of them, and she drew pictures of them, and it was a whole bunch of stuff. But we conducted, members of the team that I was on conducted an investigation first, and then my husband and I went in afterwards to do a follow-up, and we got no evidence EVP wise, no photographic evidence. I mean, nothing across the board. It was, and her house didn't feel uncomfortable, because usually I can feel uncomfortable going into a home. And we have one EVP from that whole investigation. And my husband had the video recorder on her, and it was her voice saying, "Get out." But at the same time,
Really?
she wasn't talking.
So they used her voice
Mm-hmm.
and copied it, which
Yep.
I have heard Sean's voice on an investigation when he was not present.
Right.
So they definitely can mimic.
Mm-hmm.
And that's good and bad ones. They can mimic.
Mm-hmm.
There's also this thing called thought forms.
Yep.
So if you think about something long enough, you can manifest. That's why therapists tell you you've got to do good affirmations. You've got to stand in front of the mirror and say, "I am a good person," that kind of thing. It's thought. It's thought.
Mm-hmm.
What you think, you become, or whatever.
Right.
But you can also, and we've had a group come into the old hospital experimenting with that and trying to make an entity.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it's just too weird. It's just too weird. So it's, some people know enough to be dangerous with it. And that's what's scary. A lot of times too, people don't remember to close investigations or close spirit box sessions or close. If you use a talking board, a Ouija board, or pendulum, anything like that, a digital recorder, when you're doing birth sessions, you've got to close it. You've got to say thank you, goodbye, or whatever to finish it. Otherwise, they can still pop through and they could go home with you. And you really don't want that. Some people might say, "Oh, yeah, I want a ghost in my house." Well, you can't pick the ghost that comes to your house. You might want one there, and you might say, "Come on with me," but you might get the one that you do not want. Nasty and bad things. And so you got to be careful what you wish for.
Yep. Yeah, that's why my entire house is protected with, I have herb jars everywhere and crystals everywhere.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah. But I like that you mentioned that it's, I always say, EVP sessions are no different than using a talking board or a pendulum. And I get harassed for that all the time. And it's like, no, you're still opening up a doorway.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anytime you talk to spirit, that's an open board, really.
Yep.
It doesn't matter what you're using. There's spirit dice. There's what else is there? Of course, the pendulums and copper rods and anything. Anytime you go into a room and say, "Is anybody here?" You're opening a door. It's just like a Ouija board.
Yep.
It's just like one. So.
Yeah. And, and the other thing too is like Joe and I do a presentation on to Ouija or not to Ouija. And I take the aspect of, Ouija boards are okay as long as you use them properly, just like an EVP session. And one thing I brought up to him was because he always talks about, praying because he's Roman Catholic. And I had said, I go, well, when you pray, you don't know who you're praying to. You hope you're praying to God, but you don't know. So, I mean, I even think praying, you should close that door when you're done. Thank you for listening. Well, you just never know who might be around.
That's what the amen, that closes that prayer.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
I think too, it's in your mind who you're praying to.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as you've got have on daily prayers, I'll get to where there's a couple of phrases that I use in my head all the time praying, and I think, gosh, that's just like a grocery list I'm just checking off. Okay, now let's concentrate and really think about the words. So be more present, but know who you're talking to. Think about what you're talking to.
Exactly. We can't see them, so we don't know.
I've seen several shadows, but I've only seen 3 spirits, and one of them was the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life. 2 were like us. One was a little girl that peeked around the corner, and when I saw her, she sucked back in and was gone. The other one, I was over at a friend's house. She was having issues. She wanted to see who was there. And so I just asked a lot of questions of her. We were sitting there talking. And to me, when I see something that's not a shadow, I see it in reflection. And I guess, except for the little girl. Now, the little girl was not reflection, but I guess that's my mind protecting me. I'm not ready to see everything yet. And I'm probably not, because there's probably stuff around us all the time that would just freak us out completely. And Mark has said, yeah, there is. So it's probably a good thing we can't see all the time. But over at her house, I was asking questions, and there was a flat screen TV in front of me, in front of the chair I was sitting in. And, those are very shiny, very reflective. It was off, of course, because we were sitting there talking. And I saw movement, and I looked up at the screen, and it was the most beautiful redheaded woman I've ever seen in my life. She had long red hair. She was dressed in an evening gown with one of those, the scarves that came in front and hung down your back all the way to the floor. And beautiful. She was beautiful. And I turned, and of course I couldn't see her once I turned. And Pam said, "Did you see something?" And I said, "Who's the redhead?" And she said, "You saw her?" And I said, "She's beautiful." And she said, "That's Chip's mother." And I said, "She's gorgeous." She said, "I think she's showing you when she was younger." I said, "Well, she looked to be in her 20s and something." She said, "Yeah, that's definitely younger." I said, "She's gorgeous." The other thing I saw was this cloudy black mass with eyes. And it floated over me. I was at a very reflective wooden desk, like one of those cherry ones that are so highly polished. And I was looking down, and something floated, and what was that? Of course, it wasn't above me, but the EVP I got after that was me. That was weird. Cloud with eyes.
Definitely letting you know they're there. And I know we had briefly talked about not going into anything or doing any EVP sessions without protection. What methods outside of saging do you use
for protection?
Yep.
I have certain gemstones that I wear. I have I keep the sage with me, of course. Say a prayer before and a closing prayer to close anything, any investigation. Keeping a positive attitude through it. Before I go on anything, I have learned to keep salt in my truck, because you can just take a pinch of salt and just put a little bit in your mouth, and just that little ritual sets your mind and sets you in the right framework to concentrate. I I've also been told by Mark, if after an investigation, feeling a little antsy, or before you go on an investigation, to calm your mind and everything, as you're showering, throw a little salt in the shower, and then you can, in there, white light yourself. And it's easy to do. He's also given me a countdown meditation. And if anybody listening needs it, just send me an email, Cyn Shrader Hill author @gmail.com, and ask for the countdown meditation. And it's great. It resets your aura. It calms you down. It's actually, it can relax you so much you can go into a nice little nap or sleep right before bed or whatever. But it's good for when you're feeling antsy, when nervous, any kind of anxiety, just to get everything calm. And it's really good to do before an investigation, to center yourself, ground yourself before you go out.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, just use what you believe in, because everybody has different beliefs. And,
Absolutely.
especially like working with kids, I always tell people, if your kid believes their teddy bear will protect them, let them believe that.
Absolutely.
Then that teddy bear will.
Let's see. Lee
wants
wanted
the
the
address
address.
again.
Yeah, it's Cyn Shrader Hill author, all together, at gmail.com. So I'll be glad to send it to you.
And I'll also share it on the page
The way I use it, because it's a long meditation, if you do it right. And by long, I mean up to 10 minutes if you want to do it that long. So it's not terribly long. But what I did was, that's it. What I did was read it and record it on my phone, so I can lie down or be sitting in my truck, close my eyes, listen to it, play back, and I can relax into that. So it's just a good thing to have. Yep.
Okay. And from the sounds of it, it sounds like you bring a psychic with you when you do certain investigations. What is your psychic protocol?
I would love to have him there all the time, but no, he is my go-to for anything that, comes up that's different, or kind of puts you on edge, or just anything that you're unsure of. He's my go-to. I have investigated with him, and he has come on our investigations as well. I like that before an investigation, he wants to know nothing. He wants nothing. Don't tell him anything. And if we start a group chat, he'll message me and say, Cyn, I'm not reading any of that, so just tell him I'm not being rude, but I don't want to know anything. I know that. I'm sorry, I forgot. I put you in the group. I'll take you out. That kind of thing. But he will do a remote viewing of whatever the situation is. We had this one house that it was giving the family problems, and he remotely looked at it and he said, the problem is in the room to the right of the kitchen. And I said, why is that the problem? He said, because somebody died there. I hadn't told him any of this. Somebody died in that room not too many years ago, and that is an open door for others coming in now. Not for that one that died in that room, but it left an imprint so that others can find it and come into that house. So it's, working with the psychic is very interesting. It's amazing what they can do. Amazing.
Yeah, I've always been, I don't have psychic abilities, but I am sensitive, like kind of how you explained in your bio. But I'm the one that wants to know everything about the location before I go in. So that way I can cater my EVP questions towards it. And, I deep dive into research.
And that's a really good idea. I always send out a questionnaire, because I found that most of the people that say they need help are just wanting a show. They
Yep.
want the team to come in and do what Zach does on the television. And that's not an investigation that we do. We might get nothing the entire time we're at a location. What they do on television, I will tell, he came down to Fayetteville to the old hospital, and they showed up with a script that had nothing to do with the hospital, nothing. And he had 3 of us tell him, you don't need a script. Just go in there and talk to so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so. And about the 3rd person that told them that, they were like, maybe we should try this. And they actually did a fairly decent investigation on that show. Now, they had blocked out 4 days for that 45 minutes of show that they aired on television, because you've got commercials built in with it. So it's about 45 minutes or so. But that was over a 4-day period. They were there. The main cast was there only 2.5 of those days. And they left to go down to the Space and Rocket Center in Alabama. And they were done. The camera crew and the technicians and all of the crew stayed the entire days to get whatever else they needed, but the stars weren't there the whole time. So it's Hollywood. A lot of it's Hollywood. Now, there some good shows on there. Yeah, there's some good. I like Amy Bruni. And I know this one's controversial, but I really like to watch Amy Allen on Dead Dolls. And I like the way that she and Steve work together. He goes and does all the background stuff. She does the remotes and, walks through, and then they get together and they talk. I like the way they do that.
But yeah, I've actually been to several residentials where the client's like, but that's not how Zach does it, because living in Vegas, of course, Zach is right there. So everybody, knows him and all, and it was like, okay, but it was the funniest one that we had was because we do work with a documentary crew quite often. We went to the investigation and they asked where our film crew was.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm like, I go, they don't follow us everywhere, and they don't do residentials either.
Yeah, no, because most residentials, they don't want their stuff out there so people can see.
Right. Yeah. So
it's not a show.
Yep. It's like, okay, well, we're instantly packing up and leaving. It's like, people are interesting.
That's why I use a questionnaire, because you can, you might get 5 people that week to send. I have got to have help. I've got to have help. Well, we want to help the ones that really need it, but 2 won't answer the questionnaire. 1 answers it, and you have to go, okay, explain this to me. And then, okay, well, no, that's not what they meant. It was dramatized, all that kind of stuff. A little bit too much drama, but you might get 1 or 2 that really, really, truly need help, and something is going on in their house, and those are the ones we like to help.
Yep.
We're not there.
Sometimes they slip through though, because we use the form as well, and you get the ones that know exactly what to say.
Yeah.
And then you find out that they've messaged other teams and did the same thing.
Oh, I was gonna say, or other teams had been there, like 2 or 3 of them, and they just like the people coming in and doing a show for them.
Yeah. I had one friend. He said that when he got there, the ladies, all of her girlfriends were there, and they were all dressed up, and they were drinking wine when they arrived.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's very, very interesting.
Wow.
So,
it takes all kinds.
It does. So besides just doing EVPs, are there any other tools that you guys use on your investigations?
Yeah. Walt Walt is our mountain man. He
Mhm.
is knows so much about earth science and chemistry and just all this kind of stuff. He's just a
Mhm.
real good guy, and he actually does live on a mountain, and he brought in this one particular object that I had never thought of, and since I have one and Sean does too, he brought in one of those plasma balls.
Yes.
Um, you know,
Mhm.
and
Yep.
they're not too big.
Mhm.
Um, and we have the battery powered one, not the USB one that you have to
Okay.
keep charging. But
Mhm.
that can be pretty interactive, and
Mhm.
we've actually had spirits that would follow along. Sean would say, "Okay, can you put a finger on here and draw it across?"
Mhm.
And he would step back, and the spirit would actually do that. And you could
Yep.
see the point coming toward the spirit's finger
Mhm.
and follow it. Um, it's also had a couple of weird things happen with that. It's actually spelled out a word
Mhm.
um, through. It was odd. It was in a really murky, um, old building that a lot of things had gone on in, and not a lot of them were pretty.
Mhm.
And so it had a lot of hard words and harsh findings and that kind of thing. And that was one of the investigations that after you leave, you feel like you need a shower. It's like,
Mhm.
ugh, yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
So, but yeah,
Yeah.
plasma ball. That
Yep.
that one was awesome. And the cat balls that people are using a
Mhm.
lot of, I
Yep.
think those are cool.
Mhm.
If
Yeah.
if it's on a stable surface, you're not walking around stomping and that kind of thing, because they can work too.
Mhm.
Just got
Yep.
to be
Yeah,
kind
we've used the plasma ball before, and it was funny. It's amazing how you can see it actually work. And then we pulled it out once, and we got the EVP Tesla the
nice.
minute we pulled it out, and it was like, oh my goodness, we're like so excited. But yeah,
That's go ahead.
mhm. Oh, I was going to say it's interesting what you can find when you use other tools.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
went into one guy. He has a machine shop, and
Mhm.
he wanted to investigate it because strange things were happening. But he smart guy. He had been working on a Tesla coil. Oh,
Mhm.
so excited! Can you imagine having a
I
Tesla
know
coil
that
that
would
you?
be fun.
That would be awesome. That would be
Yeah.
awesome.
And it was funny too because we were hosting. It was just before we moved back to Florida, but we were hosting a public investigation to help raise money for the museum that I volunteered at. And one of the guests said, "Can I show you something?" And I was like, "Sure." And we were outside, and she pulled out a fidget spinner, and she's like,
Really?
"Let me show you something." And she set it on a flat rock, and we made sure there was no wind, and she made sure it was stable. And she told the spirit, "If you're here, can you move this?" And she showed him how to move it. She stabilized it again, and then a few minutes later it started to move. Ever since then, I have 6 fidget spinners. They all light up. They have lights on them now,
What a
and I
great
put them,
idea.
yeah, and I use them, and I get so many different interactions. I have a red and green one, so I could be like, for yes, spin the green one; for no, spin the red one. And those are, and they're heavy enough to where a slight breeze won't affect them, and they
Nice.
spin freely. I love them. They're
Now
my
see,
go-to tool.
see, you learn
Yeah,
something every day. That's a great idea. That
yeah,
is a great. I'm gonna
yep,
be looking for some now.
yep, yeah. I got 6 for like $12 on Amazon, and they light up.
That's perfect.
Yeah,
Lee just said low tech.
yep, yeah. I
Very
absolutely, I love the low tech stuff.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Flashlights. What do you think about them? Using
I
flashlights for yes, no.
There's too many problems with that. The first one is when it heats up, it expands, so it moves. When it cools off, it condenses, so it moves. Humidity can make it move. A truck driving by, can make it move. So those are too many, I guess, false positives could occur.
Yeah.
So we just use our flashlights to get through the dark.
That's what I do. I've got a team member that uses those for yes, no. And I've been on several hunts with different teams that use them. Seem to work for them, but I'm not comfortable doing it myself.
Yeah, it's like, and it's, I also tell people to know the tech that they're using. Cause like one investigation we did, it was an early one. And one of the investigators brought a K2 meter with, and we had set it down, and we all stepped back and we started talking, but all of a sudden it was almost like it was giving us Morse code. Because it was like long, short, long, 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 short, short. And so we were thinking, we don't know Morse code. What are you trying to say to us? So we were writing it all down so we can translate it when we got home. But then it turned out when the investigator got home, he realized he was out of batteries. So he, instead of using Duracell or Energizer that were shielded, he grabbed generic batteries that he got from the Dollar Tree real quick and threw them in there just so he could have it for the investigation. So the K2 meter was reading its own batteries.
Oh, wow.
The whole time. So, I mean, whether the spirit was trying to communicate with us through that or not, we had to throw that all out because, once we learned what batteries were in there and what it could do, it kind of ruined the whole investigation.
So which batteries do you prefer to use?
Energizer. Yeah. It gets expensive, but
I go Energizer or the Duracell, one of those two.
Yep. Yeah. A lot of the equipment I have though is just the USB plug-in, and it charges on its own because it has an internal battery. Or of course with camcorders or the video recorders, you have to use the batteries that, fit them. Yeah. So yeah, cute pink bunny. So do you often get people sending you, because I get a lot of people sending me photos because my background is photography. So do you get a lot of people sending you EVPs?
Not so much EVPs, but a lot of photographs, a lot of videos of security cams. And I even had one recently fight with me over it. It was, she said, something is happening in my home. We just recently moved here. We're from so-and-so. We're new in the state. We live in my area now. And ever since we've moved in, we've been having problems. And we've caught this on our security cam. And it was outside pointing on either to a back porch or a deck. And I watched it, and she sent 3 different clips, and I watched the next one, and I'm looking for anything but what I think she wants me to see, because I'm hoping surely that's not what she's asking me. And so I'm looking all over, and I finally come back on. I said, are you talking about, and I described it to her, and she said, yes, what is that? And I said, it's a drone. And she said, in this town? Why would people do a drone? Well, I don't know, but they do. We've got drones everywhere. And she said, no, you're crazy. Why? There would never be a drone in my backyard. Well, you just moved there. The neighbors don't know you. The teenagers have drones, and adults do too. And they're everywhere now. It was a drone on her security cam. And that's a little bit freaky by itself, because that meant somebody was watching.
Right. Yeah.
But she didn't want to go with that. And that's okay too. She can send it to another team.
Yep. Another team that'll tell her, yes, you're seeing something. Can we come investigate?
Yeah. And maybe that's what she wanted. But we don't have time to play.
Yep. Yeah. The 101 videos of what's that? And it's a bug on your lens. Oh no, why would a bug be transparent? It's like, understand how the camera works.
Yeah. And that's a lot of times it'll be just a camera flare. but it does. It's got its own light. You said a true orb has its own light. Well, it does.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a camera flare. That's a spot. That's a bright green spot that your camera, it reflected on the lens, and that's why you have a tiny green dot in your photo.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, it's not. It's not.
And it's really sad when you have actual, camera people who do that. Like there's one video I share from here in Florida. It was on the news station. And when I talk about, orbs and videos and all of that stuff and, the different training sessions, I share it, and it's the cameramen, they're at a haunted location doing a Halloween special. And then they interviewed the cameraman at the end saying that he couldn't believe that he caught an orb of a spirit in 2 different locations during the video of, the filming of the series or the segment. And when you look at it, it's a little green dot in the bottom of the screen, and he's pointed and the sun is right over the building in one location, and the other one he's inside and the sun is just outside the window. And I'm like, you're a cameraman, you should know that the cameras do that.
And he's probably just starting out.
Yeah, he was like so excited that he captured an orb, and then all of a sudden now the investigator, the reporter was like, yeah, this place is thoroughly haunted, and we have proof it's haunted now. And, it's like, well, no, you don't, but okay.
Yeah. I tell you, if you turn a photo or a video or something into one of the Facebook groups that is anything and everything paranormal, send your clips in, you will get torn apart by everybody in there about whatever you're sending in. No, that's the shadow of your car right behind you. No, that's, and
or if you go in to educate, oh, that's a bug crawling across your lens, then they rip you apart for, not knowing what you're talking about.
Yes, call you crazy. Okay.
Right. Or why are you in this group if you don't believe?
Yeah,
I see that a lot.
Well, and I tell people all the time, you've got to be skeptical. You really do. You've got to be skeptical on everything. You got to try to find a reason for that sound or that, what you're seeing. You got to try.
Yeah.
And then if you can, throw out, okay, it's not this, it's not this, and not this. It could be that you have something paranormal, but we still don't know for sure. You can't say emphatically, yes, this is paranormal. This is, we think it is. I think it's this, and that kind of thing. But
there's no natural explanations for it, so we have nothing to explain what it is.
No, it's not an exact science. Everybody's still learning, and if you work together, you can learn a lot of good stuff.
Exactly. And the key word there, work together.
Yeah. Always be open for different points of view. That's one thing I've learned. It's because I know I'm stupid when it comes to a lot of investigative work. I don't know how some teams do this. Like one team that I have recently talked to is the Ghost Sisters up in Ohio. And they have got this technique that they use, and I can't remember what she called it, but she uses water spraying into, whatever, and they take pictures and of the reflections that they're getting. And they've gotten some really good pictures like that. And I want to go on an investigation with them and actually see her do that. It would be interesting to see it.
Another person to follow is my co-host on Wednesday nights for Ghost Education 101, Philip Wyatt. He does water scrying, and he has several books that he's printed on Amazon. And what he does is he takes jars and bowls and he shines different lights into it. And he'll move the water with his fingers and ask EVP questions while he's taking photos. And he gets some amazing photos that he shares on Facebook as well as in his books.
I think that's what she called this as well.
Okay. Mhm.
So yeah, because she used lights and then took
Mhm.
pictures into the water.
Okay.
So
Yeah. And
I'm
the
dead.
water spraying would be a way to disturb the water just enough to help
Yeah,
them.
I think that's very interesting. I
Yeah.
had another friend, Christy Parrish.
Mhm.
She came down to the old hospital. Christy's up in Connecticut. She's from here, but
Mhm.
moved up there. And she brought this technique to the old hospital where she used incense sticks. She had
Mhm.
fixed on an easel this, uh, I don't know, you can call it like a light box,
Mhm.
and the incense was up inside it, and she had a red light behind it, so
Mhm.
you could watch the incense if it was taking a shape and making prints onto there was
Mhm.
a plastic shield over it to keep
Yeah.
the incense kind of contained in
Mhm.
that box that would come up through it. And it was to look for any signs that would come across in the smoke, for one,
Mhm.
and which is kind of weird to me, and then against the plastic
Mhm.
as well, any kind of,
Right. Mhm.
words
Right.
or
Mhm.
streaks, whatever. So I had never seen that before
Yeah.
either. There's just so many things out there that people use, and experimentation is
Mhm.
fun,
Yeah.
and trying to learn is really fun.
Mhm. Yep. Yeah, I know Philip's gotten faces. He's gotten words and letters that have come up, and it's really really interesting. I want to try it, but I just haven't yet.
See, and I don't know enough about it. That's why I want to
Mhm.
see someone do it and
Yeah.
learn how to do
Mhm.
that.
Yep. Yeah. We did a presentation on it a while back, but I know he's going to probably be doing it again because it's one of his favorite topics to talk about. So.
I'll have to check that out. I'll have to
Mhm.
watch.
Okay, definitely. I'll make sure I get you the link for it.
Yes,
But
please.
we're starting to
Please.
run out of a little time. But do you have any books or anything or any projects that you're in the works on right now?
Yeah, I am working on book number 5 and number 6 right now.
Mhm.
6 will come out next year. Um, I've got all 4 books are on Amazon. I'm self-published, so you can check out Amazon for all 4 of them. There are 3 true story, 1 fiction. Um, the the last one is It's Not Goodbye, Signs from Beyond. That one was kind of
Mhm.
thrown in my lap. God just kind of put that on me that I needed to write it about
Mhm.
our people coming back and leaving signs or deathbed
Mhm.
conversations, near death experiences, pennies, feathers, cardinals, things like that, that
Mhm.
um, are signs to people, or music, or scents of
Mhm.
cologne, or whatever, um, things like that. So I
Mhm.
had 50 stories. Some were mine, but mostly they came from all over the United States, friends of mine, and
Mhm.
people that I had never met would write in and tell me a story.
Mhm.
So I've already got a sequel started for that one that's going to come out next year.
Okay.
And the one that's coming out next is some of the darker stories. So look for that one around Halloween. It's going to be
Okay.
real shadows.
Definitely keep our eyes open for that. And can you let everybody know where they can find you again?
Yeah, I am on Facebook, Cyn Shrader Hill author. Also personally, Cyn Shrader Hill. Elk Valley Paranormal is also on Facebook.
Mhm.
You can find us elkvalleyparanormal.com if you want to go through our evidence, especially if you've got book number 3, They're Speaking, Are You Listening? You
Mhm.
can go through and listen to all those EVPs. I am on Instagram. I'm a little bit of everywhere.
Mhm.
Write to me and send me some stories if you'd like. Especially if you've got signs from beyond that
Mhm.
you would like for me to include in the book, I'd be happy to. Cyn Shrader Hill author at gmail.com.
Okay, perfect. And I'll make sure I share all that information on at Exploring the Paranormal Show and at Dr. Heather Leigh, so everybody can make sure they catch that and get in contact with you. But again, thank you for joining me today. It has been such a pleasure. Loved our conversation. And
Thank you so
definitely hope to have you on again next year.
I would love to come back. Thank you so much.
Definitely. I'm already booking for next year, so I'll definitely reach out to you and get that as well. And I'll get you the replay links once Todd gets them to me.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Yep,
Thanks to
thank
all
you.
your listeners too. And thanks for all those questions.
Yep. And thank you again, and we will talk to you soon. Okay, guys, that was an amazing show. I hope you enjoyed it. I will get the information on there. I know Todd is sharing it right now, elkvalleyparanormal.com and at Cyn Shrader Hill author at gmail.com. But again, like I said, I'll share all that information as well as her bio on the show. And yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed that. And just a reminder, I'm going to pull it up again so that way I can get the information. If you guys are wanting a copy of a copy of Haunted Florida Lighthouses with both mine and Joe's signature, make sure you message me on either of my Facebook pages, Exploring the Paranormal Show or at Heather Leigh PhD. You could also go to Passport to the Paranormal and message us there. Joe and I will both autograph the book and send it to you. But it needs to be paid for by the 13th before I head up to Orlando, and then we will mail them on the 18th to you. And mark your calendars, because next week I have Jeff Mudgett. We will be talking about the H.H. Holmes investigation. For those of you who don't know who he is an amazing person. He's the great-grandson of America's most prolific serial killer, H.H. Holmes, a.k.a. the Devil in the White City. And I am bummed. I don't know if you guys saw Sidetrack here, but they were supposed to be doing that with Leonardo DiCaprio on Hulu, but that has been paused forever. And I think I read recently that show has been canceled, but hopefully it gets brought back to life and someone else takes it on, because that sounded like it was going to be an amazing show. But anyway, getting back to that, Jeff is the author of a book called Bloodstains. It talks about the horrendous crimes that his great-great-grandfather did, and the fact that he has compiled important facts that may tie H.H. Holmes to Jack the Ripper. So that is a show you do not want to miss. I'm super excited to have him joining us. I've been chit-chatting with him behind the scenes, and he is absolutely amazing. So make sure you guys tune in next week. And as always, I hope you have a fabulous day, and we will see you guys in a week. Have a great week.
The truth is here and now on WLTKDB Talk Radio at WLTKDB.com.